astrologer, and this is your inner goddess reading for Sagittarius Sun, Sagittarius Rising, and Sagittarius Moon. So, my lovely Sagittarius goddess, what is going on with you? What kind of thoughts are you thinking these days? Are they positive, self-affirming, or is there an inner loop playing out of negativity? You have the Nine of Swords and the Hermit. So there's something that you are worried about. It's causing some anxiety, and maybe it's some information that has come to light. This could be something that's keeping you up at night. It may be guilt, stress, remorse, or some kind of despair. Your mind could be racing. You could be thinking of the worst case scenarios. Maybe you have concern about someone else. And that's a problem for you. You're worried about the choices that are being made by someone else. And perhaps that's creating some kind of challenge. You want to step in there and take care of things and make it all work out. And maybe that's just not possible. In fact, it may not be your role. So there's some anxiety about something. For some of you, there may be a tie to a Virgo person. But for others of you, you're worried about something. Maybe you are worried about being alone, or something that relates to age, wisdom, health, experience is a problem. Maybe you're worried about your education. Some of you, maybe you're trying to get some kind of certification or a license of some sort. There may be some kind of documentation. Maybe you're a writer. You may be working on a book. So there's some worries about that. Maybe this is about spirituality. You have some anxiety about your beliefs or your value system. It could be you have some health worries. Maybe you're in pain and you're trying to manage that, or an illness. For some of you, you have anxiety because you find yourself under some stress due to confrontational situations where maybe there's a competitive edge with regard to information. Somebody thinks that they know the answer, and there's a continuous one-upmanship. And so you may find that there are some lessons surrounding circumstances right now that will teach either you or someone close to you some lessons of humility. They're going to have to learn what it's like to be humble, to realize that they don't know everything that perhaps they thought they did. So this is a very spiritual period for you. Some of your anxiety may be unwarranted. It could be that you're just thinking the worst and your mind is getting carried away. And it's possible that whatever is before you, you haven't fully considered all of the options. For whatever reason, there's something blocking you from taking some kind of action. It could be that you may find doing a certain thing beneath you, or you may feel that something doesn't jive with your value system. So based on principle, you're not going to do something, or you simply, you're not thinking in a constructive manner where good ideas will come to you. But this is a period where you may be anxious to withdraw in order to meditate, to go within, or either to seek some wise counsel. This is about remaining logical, and it's a time where listening serves you rather than talking. And so it's time to be observant about people, situations, so you can take in information and make the best rational choice that's good for you. So you may be observing where people are not quite aligning with what they're saying. They may talk a good talk, talk a good game, but you don't see any results. You don't see any action. So there's something that either is coming into your own awareness, there's a spiritual evolution taking place, or you are shedding light on something for someone else. Maybe you're researching the very condition of anxiety. But you are coming into an awareness. Now, even though this is very stressful for you, know that you are spiritually protected through this experience. It serves a purpose, and it gives you the opportunity to close out some chapters of your life, to wrap up some loose ends, to deal with some things that you've been putting off and trying to avoid. You also have start over. So maybe that's part of the anxiety. The idea that you're going to have to start over. And maybe it's because of your age or experience or your education, or, maybe you're going to be alone now, or health issues are getting in the way of something. So you're having to start over. But again, know that you are spiritually protected during this time. And sometimes starting over is going to give you the ability to have a clean slate. You may feel better on the other side of a situation. So this is about remaining logical, practical, taking good advice, not pushing it away or shunning it. Now, what's going on with your body? Because maybe what is bothering you is some kind of health concern, or how you feel you look, or your image. So are you comfortable with yourself in your own skin, or are you, sort of tearing yourself apart right now? You have the Knight of Swords reversed and the Seven of Swords. So the Knight of Swords is normally, for some of you, maybe you're dealing with an air sign person that impacts your physical, emotional health, your body image. This would be an air sign: Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, Sun, Moon, or Rising, male or female, or just the traits of this knight. Now, he is in reverse. Upright, he's raring to go. He could be rash, impulsive, communication and travel is highlighted. So there's something exaggerated on either extreme. Either there is some extreme communication where maybe there's some harsh words, some arguments, or perhaps there's no communication at all. This is the silent treatment. And with the Seven of Swords, maybe this is about some kind of shady behavior. Maybe you want to avoid arguments, but maybe the avoidance of your truth, maybe you should avoid confrontation, especially if you don't have all of the information. But you could be dealing with somebody who thinks they know more. And maybe you just want to get away from a situation where somebody's just got a big mouth. Because the Knight of Swords can think that he's always right, period, end of story. And maybe he doesn't have the best attitude toward the opposite sex. He can be insensitive. Maybe he's just totally lost in his desires, his ambitions, and he's out of touch with his emotions and willing to participate in some form of treachery or deception where he is stepping on other people. The Seven of Swords says there could be some kind of theft or deception. And, either you or someone else is going to come under the scrutiny of others with regard to integrity. You may feel that somebody's trying to get away with something, or there could be issues surrounding relocating, or maybe, having to act as a liaison between, two parties. Now, because you're having difficulty sleeping and, trying to gain this awareness, it could be, though, that you're simply overanalyzing a situation. You need to come up with a strategy, and you haven't been able to, and maybe that's affecting you physically. Or maybe there's some kind of criticism either on your part or that of others about what you look like, what your image is, how you take care of yourself, what you do. So for some of you, this is some overanalyzing to the point of dysfunction, the inability to effectively communicate. Maybe you feel trapped, or, extreme ideas, incompetence or dogmatism. So whatever this is some rash behavior that may lead to being disrespectful. Could be some arguments where you end up feel like you're beating your head against a brick wall. You're trying to either start something or end it, and you're having difficulty. And when you do have communication, it doesn't end very well. In fact, it's a tendency for it to get, into a situation where you may be arguing. So somebody may be all riled up, or you may just be so battle worn and wounded that you just want to get away. You just want to avoid at all costs. And the Seven of Swords says it may be possible to extricate yourself from situations that don't have anything to do with you. Now, maybe you have some anxiety that is surrounding, your career. Again, this could be education or licensing, or you researching a project. Or it could be your social status, your standing in the world, or how you're seen by others. It could be your personal authority, or you're dealing with authority figures. Who's in control? Who's got the power? So how this is going to play out as far as health may mean that you have some difficulty. Maybe you're having some problems with your shoulders. Could be some respiratory issues. Could be some nervous disorders, or problems with the connective systems within the body. Now, you could also be having some issues surrounding blood circulation, varicose veins, or again, simply dealing with a lot of stress. Somebody may be trying to get away with something, could be swindling, con, and maybe somebody's pulling a fast one with their language, and you are somehow impacted. But this can be about temper tantrums and somebody rashly seeking to cause some kind of pain. So maybe there's a proclivity to some kind of violence or an accident or a wound. So you have to be careful right now. This is about knowing which battles to fight. And with this card, this says perhaps somebody is not choosing wisely. So you may be avoiding communication or avoiding argument or arguing over some kind of deception. Whatever is going on with you as far as communication and battling and fighting is having a definite impact on your situation. So something is out of control. Now, if this is your body, maybe you need to avoid certain things. Some element of your situation is out of control, or you're running out of steam. Maybe somebody is full of hot air, or they're arguing theories that don't make any sense. Maybe somebody's deliberately not being thoughtful. So this is the runaway horse, where you got to get a handle on your instincts, and your temper and how you communicate. Again, the Seven of Swords could mean that there's some kind of strategy that you're coming up with where you can communicate effectively or avoid somebody who is problematic and is taking a toll on your emotional or physical health. You also have think twice. So perhaps this is a warning for you about being careful of what you say. Choose those battles wisely and where you direct your energy so that you don't get carried away, cause some pain, injury, or damage to yourself or other people. Now, what is affecting your creativity? The flow from spirit through you, the way you honor yourself, your passions, your dreams. You have the Four of Wands and the Eight of Cups. So perhaps there's something that you really want to walk away from. This may be a social function, could be a project, could be the idea of connecting in a way where maybe if marriage is on the table or moving in together, maybe there's some property issues. But something about the past you are disenchanted with. And maybe it's because you've been putting in a lot of effort and you feel like you're not making progress. No matter what you do, there's not any pleasure. Because the idea is to lay a foundation where all the parties involved are feeling good about what the situation is. Now, maybe you're seeking something else. You want to leave the past behind and you're looking toward an uncertain future. Maybe you're seeking a new relationship or a new circumstance, but you don't know what's out there. But you're motivated to move ahead. So for some of you, the idea that you don't know what's out there may keep you in a conflict because you don't know what you want. And maybe that's why you end up alone, because until you figure out what it is that you want, it's really hard to find an effective path to travel on. But the Four of Wands is a fortunate card that says it's possible for you to at least find out where you stand with regard to something. It's the ability to create win-win situations and make some beneficial changes that will allow you to move on from something that was unfulfilling to you. And you have trust yourself. So again, maybe you have to start over. You're coming into an awareness of something. You're gaining more information. You're getting some enlightenment simply by observing or getting some good advice from somebody. So you need to think twice about what your battles are, how you communicate, where you want to go, and trust yourself, your own intuition to guide your path to where you can follow your dreams or find your passion. Now, what is your strength? This is your goddess magic. It allows you the ability to manifest, not only in your life, but in the lives of others. It's some gift that you can share. You have the Death card and the Emperor. Now, this may be a tie to a Scorpio, could be an Aries, or just the traits of these cards are important. The Death card says there's a need to make some kind of profound change, some kind of transformation, and the wisdom that's necessary. So you could be repairing something, improving it, or deciding that you're going to have to surrender and let it go. Now, this may tie to something psychological. It could be a hidden enemy or something behind the scenes, a hidden influence. It could be spirituality or greater compassion toward others, or some circumstance that feels confining. Now, you may have a connection to institutions. They could be charitable, could be hospitals, could be prisons, could be government, could be foreign. So you're focused on regenerating some aspect of your life that ties to that. And the Emperor ties to your creative expression, perhaps romance or dealing with children. It could be taking a risk financially. But again, ultimately, it's about your expression. So you want to regenerate in a way that gives you greater independence, more power. And maybe you're dealing with people in power. It could be a father figure, a boyfriend, a company, the boss, a supervisor. But at the end of the day, because this is your magic, it's about regenerating your own skills of leadership. It's about taking the horns and being responsible for your own security, your own standing. So you may find that you regenerate a situation where there's been some stagnancy or uncertainty, or you have felt hemmed in, and you're going to take control. You're willing to take on more responsibility, more demands in order to create your own success. So you may be putting forth a lot of energy and a lot of effort. You're rising to the occasion, and you're saying what's in your heart and what's in your mind, and you're being very direct. You want answers. You're trying to bring something to light. Now, some of this may tie again to something crisis-oriented or stressful. Perhaps you deal with the psychological or sexual issues, or, life-challenging events, something that's very intense. Could be shared resources or property or assets, legacies, inheritance, anything that touches you in a deep and profound way. You have the ability to regenerate your work, your authority, your personal power. And you're doing this by facing your fear. So either, you have this strong will to survive, to reinvent yourself, to do whatever is necessary in the face of a challenge or an opportunity in order to take control. And whether that is the way you deal with authority, or again, claiming it for yourself, making decisions. So you're going to face your fear, or you have a gift for allowing other people to claim their power and face their fears. That's your gift to manifest during this period. Now, what is the lesson of love that relates to you or others? I am desired. So, for some of you, this is maybe dealing with your anxiety about being alone, or your age, or what you look like, or what your skills are, or what your talents are. Are you good enough? And this is saying you definitely are. You are desired. It's about reclaiming your power, facing your fear about what that is, reinventing yourself, trusting yourself, and avoiding things that, make you feel less than. You don't have to argue to claim what belongs to you. So you are desired. And maybe, there are issues surrounding sexuality or intimacy and what that means in your relationships. Now, what is the archetype you're meant to embody during this period? You have Kuan Yin, compassion. And before we go any further, I would say that charity begins at home. So you start with compassion for yourself. But let's see what Kuan Yin has to say. So compassion is what's needed right now to help you release perfectionism and defensiveness. The purpose of compassion is to help reduce suffering in the world. So be mindful not to judge yourself or others too harshly as you stumble through life's obstacle course. In fact, tuning into the energy of compassion and kindness almost instantly eradicates the stirred up energy of controlling thoughts and knee-jerk behaviors. The Chinese goddess of compassion, Kuan Yin, offers a gentle nudge to ask yourself this question: what would kindness do in this situation? If you approach everything with that in mind, you will discover solutions and new paths unfolding before you. In fact, living with compassion as your guide really changes everything, right down to the products you buy and the food you eat. Today, make kindness a priority. The world will be a better place, and you will feel amazing as you see the miracles light up where you least expect them. So for me, that really ties to that Hermit card because, the Hermit is Virgo, very obsessed with perfectionism, compulsively so, very critical of others. But this is also saying that criticism, the need for confrontation to prove something, is perhaps rooted in some kind of insecurity that kindness can actually control, whether that's, controlling your own harsh speech or actions or mitigating that of others. Now, the last message from the universe is, I am the dreamer of my dream. This is one of my favorite cards, which says that you can regenerate, that you do have the power to face your fear. You're in control. You are empowered here. It's time to take charge of your destiny. You are responsible for your success. Trust yourself. It's time to move on and create some beneficial changes. But you have to know where you're headed. You have to know what the vision is. What is your dream? It's yours to dream. Now, the underlying energy is the Empress and hang in there. So the Empress may be an important woman in your life, could be your role as mother, a connection to a mother figure, but ultimately this is about your sense of happiness, your sense of well-being. It's taking pleasure in earthly delights. It's a sensual card. To be mindful of the experience as it unfolds. And it's also about giving birth to something. Now, you may be giving birth to something. Could be a child, a relationship, a new lifestyle, a business, an endeavor, your health. Whatever it is, you're being advised to hang in there. Because the Empress is also a willingness to help others. And it's the awareness that things take time. You've planted a seed somewhere. Now you have to be patient. You have to grow that seed. You have to nurture it, water it, tend to it, and give birth to it. So as long as you are diligently working towards something, it may not feel like you're making much progress, but the goal is to keep moving forward because you're inching there little by little. It takes time. Again, this is a process. Hang in there. It's also about your communication. And because this card is ruled by Venus, Venus has the ability to smooth some things over. So you may be looking at the way you engage with others, the way you relate, and making some improvements to that allow you to improve your relationships, or perhaps create new and better ones if the ones you have don't serve you. So this is about communication, speaking your truth in a positive way and attracting what you want. The Empress is not forceful because she's fully aware of what her power of attraction is. She practices the law of attraction. And you may have to look at where you've been apathetic, expecting something to just unfold or come to you, or perhaps where you've been overindulgent, pushing too far, because there could be some extremes. Maybe you're eating too much, or drinking too much, partying too much, loving too much, being too mothering, or maybe it's the reverse. You're not doing enough. You're not focused enough on your own well-being. You're not taking care of you, your health, what you eat, how you exercise, what you think. All of that is important. This is saying you have to be persistent in order to see some results. So for some of you, this is about, again, your well-being. You may have to start over. Think twice about engaging in negative ways. Does it serve you, or what you want to be involved with? Trust yourself about what's good for you, what you should walk away. Face your fears in order to regenerate. At the end of the day, compassion is going to go a long way to help you build those dreams, because you need to realize whatever your gift is or who you are as a person, you are desired. Now, there's some kind of frustration that you're dealing with here. At the root of it, maybe you've gotten some bad news in the past. Maybe there have been some setbacks, something that's caused some kind of grief or worry. If this is a health issue, maybe, there's some heart issues, or you're dealing with some minor surgery, or maybe there's a love triangle, or just some bitter arguments that have created some kind of pain or grief for you. Maybe there's some kind of interference that seems to be blocking your efforts or your success. But if you maybe already halfway expected some of these things, you had an awareness that something was going on, you may be able to integrate whatever's happening and know that, put that aside, take it in stride, use it as, some kind of material that helps you grow what you want into something better. So you may be able to put it aside and just keep going. Some of you, maybe you're involved in some kind of legal situation, maybe you're dealing with some kind of settlement issue, but there is some kind of frustration, and there's a lack of grounding here, and maybe that's what the frustration is. You could find yourself in arguments, or you could find that there's been some kind of breakdown. Maybe somebody's not saying something. They're avoiding you. They're being shady. So there's a lack of stability. It could be everything hasn't been worked out. You're still working on some details. You're gathering the information, deciding how you feel about something. You have 4 major cards here. That's quite a bit in a reading. And so there are lessons to each and every one of those cards. You are meant to remain logical. As much as you can be objective and intellectual about something and not get caught up in the fray and the drama of it, that serves you. To listen, to not speak, to hear what others are saying, to take it in, because that's the vital information that you need to decide what you need to do. So you can't be irrational or lose control or not use common sense or not take good advice. This is about regenerating something. Again, your will to survive, and reinventing yourself if necessary, avoiding uncertainty, stagnancy, things that are hindering you from making progress. And it's about taking the reins of power to claim your independence and empower yourself, or learning how to deal in a constructive way with people who are tyrannical, who abuse power. And in light of all of that, you have to remain optimistic. You have to maintain your enthusiasm in order to have a dream or to move toward a vision. So trust yourself that it's possible as long as you keep working on it. And that's key, because the problem could be apathy or self-indulgence, not going far enough or going way too far. Something about the past is weighing in on the present. And again, you're getting the opportunity to tie up some loose ends and deal with some things that you've been putting off. And it's going to be important that you shine a light on as much as possible, because you need to be paying attention to the details. Something about your situation has a timing factor to it, and it may center around agreements, contracts, and whether you're on the same page with others.